So, video 2 about the super forecasting. Now, the reason you can, as a believer, you can be a super forecaster because you have the eternal mind. We know in Ephesians 6 that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, not a human, but principalities, powers, rulers of darkness. So the principalities and the rulers, they watch you. These are watchers. They know the fear, the worry, the doubt, whatever you're living in that's not spirit walking, they know what it is. They know what it is because they've studied you from a child. If you're not walking in the spirit and you're living in fear, doubt, worry, insecure, whatever it is, anything, just name it, negativity, living in the past, worried about the future, whatever it is. We know that the archons, the fallen archons, are orchestrating, just like with Job, they're orchestrating scenarios to make you turn into a puppet of the devil. Instead of trusting God, walking by faith, walking in the Spirit, walking in love, truth, joy, peace, meekness, temperance, faith, they're trying to pull you back to the old Adamic mindset instead of the mind of Christ. And so my point is, if you study the super forecasting, it will help you. It will help you. And you might say, well, how would it help you with okay, so that'll help you. So how can, you might ask me, you might say, okay, I understand the super forecast, but you said game theory. How does that help? The reason the game theory helps, if you watch some videos on game theory, they found out, they did some games, right? And the ones who win are the people who cooperate with somebody. The tit for tat always the ones who always try to throw somebody under the bus, they always lose. The ones who try to get revenge, they always lose. And even in game theory. So it lines up with the Bible about showing grace and holding people accountable. But let's say somebody does something to you, you can still show them grace, but if they keep doing it, you hold them accountable. Tit for tat. So the grace and the tit for tat, in other words, if they keep messing with you, hold them accountable. Put it back. Let karma get them. The world always talking about karma's going to get you. Let their karma get them. You reap what you sow, right? Tit for tat. Give them some karma. But don't do it in the mean spirit. Do it just because you're trying to teach them, hey, when you work as a team, we're both going to win. It's a win-win. So when you study the game theory, you'll understand that everybody's just trying to win. They don't necessarily want to attack you. They're trying to win. And this will help you in business too. Because when you're dealing with somebody, I've talked to enough people in my lifetime. I know what I'm talking about because I've dealt with a lot of people. And the people who, okay, let's say the rideshare drivers, the ones that get in there and they're just legalistic and it's all about money. It's not about serving the rider. And one rider acts crazy. You got 9 good riders. One rider acts crazy and they go off and fight with them and argue. They lose the game because they fought with somebody who's not worth fighting with. Okay, let's say you had one bad apple. Yeah, but you had 20 good apples. So don't destroy your 19 good wins over one bad win. Let somebody win. Let them win 1 or 2. But call Lyft or Uber and say, hey, I don't want to pick them up anymore. Just don't pick them up anymore. They're trouble. You don't have to fight with them. It's like the Jezebel spirit, right? So the devil is the Jezebel spirit. And the Jezebel people who are possessed, like I say, your enemy's not flesh and blood. It's not a human. It's the spirit behind them. And so let's say somebody has a Jezebel spirit. You don't fight with that person. You fight the spirit. And so how do you fight Jezebel? You don't fight her. what's that saying? Give them enough rope to hang themselves. You let them destroy themselves, but you pray that they'll get right. But most people don't get right, so you just set some boundaries and you do your own. You don't worry about. You pray for their soul, but if they sold their soul to the devil, you just step back and let them do their thing. Whether it's a wife, whether it's a girlfriend, whether it's a whatever, just if they either want to act stupid, let them go. Let them do their thing. They will destroy themselves eventually, and they'll be thinking about years down the road when if you really did love them, agape love, and you really tried to help them, and you said, okay, I'm done. You've crossed too many lines. You've done too many things. It's over. It's done. My grace came to its limit. I'm not gonna put up with it anymore. And so you're just done. You go on and do your own thing. But they're gonna think back. That person did really care about me. That person did try to help me. That person did have some foresight that I didn't have. That person was telling me the truth. And they'll think back about it. I know they will, because there's nothing new under the sun. The regrets that they had might eat them alive, unless they got saved and they just forgot about it. But the regrets, unless you get right, they're going to be there. Because if your affections are down here, what else do you have but regrets? Because this place is no continuing city. This place is really, what is this place? If you set your affections down here, what do you got down here? Labor, toil, heartache, and pain. Labor, toil, heartache, and pain. That's what this place is. Now, when you disconnect from it and you become one with the pain, and especially if you do construction work or you do any kind of work with your hands, and whether it's cleaning your house or whatever you do with your hands, there's going to be some stretching and pushing. And just think about a woman who has to push out the baby. She's in labor, she's carrying a baby around 9 months, and then she probably has some kind of physical thing after the baby, and unless she gets to exercise and then fixes it somehow. But I guess some women it don't bother them. But I've heard complications from people. I don't know. But long story short, labor, trouble, pain, heartache. Labor, trouble, pain, and heartache. Isn't that what this place is? But when you set your affections above, all that goes away, because it's temporary. It's a simulation. It's a training program. God is sanctifying you. God is teaching you how to be a better person on the inside. The outside never changes. The character on the inside is what God is working on, because His Spirit goes out from the throne to see whose heart's right by Him. God is attacking your heart. God is taking the hard heart and trying to soften it through the trouble, the pain, the whatever, You already know what I'm saying. But my point is, game theory keeps you from going to the extreme because of the archons messing with you, playing a game, a mind game. Right? I mean, I don't know what I said. I think I said wrong. Super forecasting keeps you going to extremes. Game theory teaches you how to play good with your neighbor. Did you see that car almost go across the lane? Game theory teaches you to have the longevity mindset, the long game, where even if your neighbor, so let's say me and this person here, that person was having a fit and let's say they were sitting there throwing their finger up at me, screaming, saying, why did you pull over in front of me or something like that. The short game is you want to argue back and forth, and he might pull out a gun and shoot you. The long game is roll down the window and say, hey man, I'm sorry, whatever. And then you might end up being friends, And so, I messed up. Even if they messed up, sometimes you say, give them some grace. So my point is, game theory gives you the long view, tit for tat, showing some grace. Super forecasting keeps you from going to the extremes. Study it, meditate on it. Seriously, it will help you, because you're really not fighting these people here. They're facing off with you, right? But that's not the battle. It's an unseen spiritual warfare going on all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week. The devil will give you a break. He'll give you 3 or 4 days, but then something else will happen. The devil might give me 3 days, but usually that's about it. And then he comes after me again. And so all you can do is walk by faith. Some of the stuff that I say, I bring it on myself, because I'll say, hey, your sin stinks to the high heaven. You're going to burn in hell forever. You better get saved. You must be born again. Pentecostal, Freemason, Jesuit. By me saying that, it makes them mad, because they think they're okay. So it stirs them up, and then they attack me. So I do a lot of it. I do it to myself. So it's not even the archons doing it. It's just it's a pride war. But my point is, when they do attack, for whatever reason, whether you instigate it or not, you can live in peace. You don't have to worry about stuff like most people. I see people. I mean, I saw somebody last week. She took a phone call. No, she made a phone call, and a voicemail picked up. And she kept hitting the button. And every time she hit the button, MF, you, sorry, blah, blah. She was cursing the voice on the phone out, worse than any sailor I've ever heard, Her mouth was so vile and so corrupt, and she was mad at a voicemail, making herself even more upset the way she was talking, for real. And I'm sitting here thinking, this woman. But then when she hangs up the phone, she's just all nice, cause as a stranger, she's just talking nice. Didn't know somebody heard her, just talking really nice, like an angel, But then when she picks up the phone, it's so vile, it's so corrupt. It's kind of like listening to it's sad. Zeph Daniel, that man's got a vile mind, at times, but he says he's saved, I don't know. But he says some stuff that's just off the roof. But this lady made him look like a joke. This lady made Alex Jones and Zeph Daniel and all them look like a joke. She made Joe Rogan look like a little puppy cat, the way she was talking. A kitten, a puppy dog or a kitten, that's what I meant to say. It's like, come on, lady. If that's in your heart and you're speaking that way to a recording, expecting and knowing the recording couldn't hear her, that's really sick. Really, think about what I'm telling you. You're cursing out a recording and don't even. My point is, she's not self-aware. She don't realize she's hurting herself. She ain't hurting anybody else but herself. She's not hurting anybody else. And that's my point. When you use game theory and super forecasting, you don't hurt yourself anymore. And that's really deep down, that's the game of the archons. They want you to destroy yourself, because they can't destroy, because God has blessed you. And God is calling you out, and He's raising you up, and He's bringing you out of Egypt. He's bringing you out of bondage. He's setting you free. He already set you free in Christ, but he's bringing you into the promised land. But the archons don't want you to be in the promised land. And the other people who are possessed by them or controlled by with their thoughts, they don't want you to be in the promised land. They want you to live in some kind of fake reality. Anyway. I'll probably have more to talk about in regards to this, but game theory, super forecasting, it will teach you how to fight these archons. This is my point. Because actually the people who are trying to pull you into that, they're controlled by the spirit of the age, the spirit of the air, whatever spirit is controlling them. You apply Ephesians 6, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. The people are not your enemy, but they think you're their enemy. That's my whole point. It will stabilize you. The eternal mindset will stabilize you. And those two ways of thinking will help you. In other words, it's like a framework of thinking. If you can create that framework, every time you go somewhere and deal with something, it's easier to function.